This rivalry between Spider-Man 2 and Starfield is one of the most bizarre gaming rivalries I've seen in a while. Like, yeah, you know, PlayStation exclusive versus Xbox exclusive, but like they're completely different kinds of games appealing to completely different audiences on obviously different platforms. Like, the rivalry begins and ends with the fact that they're coming out in the year 2023, and like the eagerness with which people are comparing them is getting kind of obnoxious. But with the release of Starfield in just a few weeks, people have been yelling extra loud about how much it sucks compared to Spider-Man 2, and it's getting really, really desperate. Like, I'm sure you've also seen the slew of tweets that have been going around that claim nobody's talking about Starfield. Oh, there's no one talking about this game. What? How'd that happen? It's like Alex said, with the number of people saying Starfield is dead and there's no one talking about Starfield, Microsoft doesn't even have to market it. You're doing the marketing for them. It's so weird. I mean, Dreamcast guy just posted a whole video about how nobody's talking about Starfield, irony alert. Unleashed says, this is absolute insanity, my goodness. Spider-Man 2 keeps dominating in views and popularity, meanwhile the hype is dead for Starfield. J-Dub, I smell a Starfield delay incoming, no marketing, advertisements, massive tweets, hype, previews, etc. Sick Ranches, where is the hype for this? Seems nobody is talking about it. At Xbox Tears 360, Starfield hype already came and went. Literally no one is talking about it anymore. All I hear is calls for Spider-Man 2. Like, I hate to break it to you guys. If you're this eager to convince people that no one is talking about a certain thing, you're kind of just screaming to the world that people are indeed talking about the certain thing. As of August 3rd, Starfield is in the top 10 on Steam charts, and it recently overtook Apex Legends, which is a huge deal because Apex is one of the biggest games on this platform. And if you exclude free-to-play items, Starfield is now in the top 5 Steam games. In before, but it's number 6 in that screenshot. Obviously, I'm not counting the Steam Deck as a game. But also, let's be real, it's not like Starfield isn't going to overtake Rust and Modern Warfare Black Cell in a matter of weeks, if not days, if not by the time you watch this video. But the real main event of this video started here, and I'm sure that if you've spent any time on gaming Twitter, you've either seen screenshots from what I'm about to show you or references to what I'm about to show you. So on August 2nd, the Black Viking tweeted out, a lot of talk about Starfield marketing. I used Google Trends to see the overall interest of Starfield blue and Spider-Man 2 red. Looks like Starfield doesn't need the marketing some of y'all think it needs. And this tweet completely annihilated the composure that PlayStation Twitter still had left. Now, before anyone says anything, I'm going to point out a couple things that you could criticize about this Google trend search that Black Viking did. Granted, my criticisms are not the criticisms that PlayStation Twitter started screaming at him, but all in due time, dear viewer. So looking at this, Spider-Man 2 is hyphenated, and obviously not everyone who searches for this game is going to hyphenate it. It also seems that he is searching for a specific thing and not just the term Spider-Man 2. Now, does that discredit the evidence here that there is a lot of search engine traffic for Starfield? Absolutely not. And just to further solidify the overall point and the whole thesis of how this started, I did my own Google trend search here. Here's Starfield versus Spider-Man 2 without the hyphen, just as search phrases. Here it is with the hyphen, and here it is with just one word. So like, obviously, the way you type these things and the way you put it into Google makes a difference, but the lines that you're looking at are rather consistent. Lots of people talking about Starfield, lots of people talking about Spider-Man 2. They're 2 AAA games with lots of hype around them, and oh my god, can you guys just stop fucking complaining about everything and play your goddamn fucking video games? Also, if you search Starfield by itself, apparently Alaska is driving the hype train right now. Fucking go team. But the point Black Viking was getting at with this initial post here is that despite everyone on Twitter going on and on about how Starfield has no hype and it's already dead, it's obviously not true. It's almost like Twitter isn't real life. Say it ain't so. I will not go. Turn the lights off. But this initial tweet has been seen over 250,000 times in less than 48 hours at the time that I'm taking these screenshots. And I'm just going to go through some of my favorite responses and quote tweets because this simple demonstration of Google Trends completely destroyed a lot of people. Because apparently a lot of people have already convinced themselves that Starfield is dead, Xbox is dead, PlayStation is God, and nobody is allowed to think anything other than what they think. Because this is the internet. Don't you love the internet? What did you edit? Here is worldwide past 90 days. Good golly gosh, Black Viking is just such a fucking liar with pants of molten magma. What could possibly have been edited here? This is absolute evidence that Starfield is dead on arrival. Wait a minute. 1. Google Trends thinks the term Spider-Man 2 is referring to the 2004 game. 2. Google Trends does not have any data on Marvel's Spider-Man 2 for some reason. 3. If you look at the trends for the first game, you can see how little traction Starfield is getting. And then as part of your evidence here, you submit this screenshot that shows the first Insomniac Spider-Man game getting more search attention than Starfield in the late 2010s, because yeah, obviously. And then the closer you get to today, the more Starfield takes over, because yeah, obviously. So, genuinely, what were you trying to prove here? And yes, it is true that you can't specifically put Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 or Marvel's Spider-Man 2 into Google Trends, not sure why, but taking that as a cue to compare Starfield to an entirely different Spider-Man game? You're getting a little desperate. The Red Dragon chimes in with, if this is the game you want to play, red is Spider-Man, blue is Starfield, laughing crying emoji, and a Google Trends screenshot of his own, and good golly, it looks like Starfield is just completely dead compared to Spider-Man, but let's just full screen this little thing you attached, and oh, that's awkward. You're telling me the total searches for the most popular superhero in the world, that's a higher number than the total searches for an upcoming M-rated RPG? Oh my god, that's so crazy, bro. That means Starfield is dead and you should kill yourself if you're excited for it. Holy shit. Xbots. Why ponies compare YouTube videos of Spider-Man versus Starfield? Also Xbots looks at Google Trends of both games. See, this is one of my favorite internet things. You see this all over the internet. So PlayStation guys start saying Spider-Man 2 killed Starfield because of the YouTube views on each trailer. So then Xbox guys present the Google Trends to show that there is interest in Starfield, and then the PlayStation guys are like, bro, why do you care so much? Like, what the fuck did you want? You literally started this argument to engage with the Xbox guys, but then you're mad when the Xbox guys engage with you. Like, genuinely, what did you think was gonna happen? Tiny Flying Drills 2 says, because the proper search term is Spider-Man 2 Lamau, with as one word without the hyphen. Yeah, again, here's my screenshot when I searched exactly what you said the correct term was. It really doesn't matter how you want to search the two games. Starfield stays consistent over time while Spider-Man 2 hype comes in waves. That's no matter how you search Spider-Man 2 in Google Trends, that's the consistent thing here. Oh my god, I'm comparing Google search trends. This is so fucking stupid. Why are we here? Why are we here just to suffer? Spider-Man is a household name and the most popular comic book character on the planet. Yes, Microsoft needs to advertise Starfield more. We don't even have much real gameplay to look at. But what does the existence of a Spider-Man video game have to do with Microsoft's marketing strategy? Like, this comparison is so dumb. One's a superhero game, and the other is an M-rated Bethesda RPG that's not even coming to the same console as the superhero game. Like, if these two games weren't coming out during the same time span, you wouldn't even think about comparing them, you know? Also, did you really just say we don't have much real Starfield gameplay? Because we have, like, a lot of Starfield gameplay. Genuinely, what are you on about right now? Look at this genius using an incorrect query in an attempt to play Captain Save-A-Ho for the Xbox marketing team. What an intelligent rebuttal of the data, nicely done. The damage control for this console is an embarrassment, and it's why you get treated like third piece of trash. What an intelligent rebuttal of the data, nicely done. LMFAO, bots out here making up graphs to make themselves feel better about Starflop. YouTube brief, tell the real tale, make as many graphs as you like, we'll all see the sales clown emoji. So, you already know Spider-Man 2 will outsell Starfield, you're already calling it Starflop despite the pre-order numbers. And you're so confident about your way of thinking that when someone presents you with a graph that suggests otherwise, you say the graph is made up. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. This is fucking pathetic. Like, just play the fucking games you want to play. This is exhausting. Oh my god. One of the weirdest things about the modern console war is the fact that people are so excited when a game fails. And not for the reasons a logical person would be happy about that, because obviously if a game comes out and it's really bad or buggy or has horrible business practices, that is probable cause to rejoice when the thing financially flops, because it's not going to encourage more stuff like that to exist in the future. But that's not the kind of excitement I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the excitement that you see from certain circles online when someone even suggests that a game on their competing platform isn't doing too hot. Or maybe it's not doing as hot as it once was. It's like an actual W to these people. It's so bizarre. And you've been seeing a lot of that towards Starfield from the PlayStation community for obvious reasons. Not only is Starfield an Xbox console exclusive that looks really, really good, but it's also been holding steady at the top of sales charts for weeks, and it doesn't even launch for another like 2 months. But the other day, good golly gosh, Starfield dropped down in the Steam charts because the pre-order hype died down and the Steam summer sale began. And it only took about 4 business hours for PlayStation Twitter to look at that and then start running victory laps because apparently Starfield is now dead. I'm not kidding, that's a thing people think simply because Starfield went down in the Steam sales charts. And I want to point out that Starfield is going to be on Game Pass on day 1 on console and PC, so the fact that it's selling this well on Steam is insane. Following the Starfield Direct not too long ago, the game shot to the top of Steam charts, and it sat there for literal weeks. I'm pretty sure this game was in Steam's top 50 up to the start of the summer sale, and it was a full $70 pre-order. That's ridiculous. The fact that it took the summer sale to knock it down a peg is an incredible testament to the amount of faith and excitement there is surrounding this game. But since this is the PlayStation community we're talking about, they obviously didn't see it that way. But there's one thread that I saw that I want to focus on in particular because there's lots of variety in it. So thank you to Unleashed for starting this dog shit thread because you attracted a bunch of people that I'm going to line up next to you and then insult you all in turn. Alright, sound fair? Let's begin. The initial post reads, Baldurs Gate 3 destroying Starfield on Steam. You love to see it, with 4 fire emojis, and then he has a screenshot of Starfield being knocked down to number 65 on the sales charts while Baldurs Gate was obviously much higher, because surely that wouldn't have anything to do with Baldur's Gate 3 being actually playable right now through early access. Like, it's a game that you can actually play, you don't have to wait for it, and it's not a game that you probably would have pre-ordered already if you were interested in it. Because like most of the Starfield pre-orders already happened in the couple weeks after the Starfield Direct. So the fact that it's falling in the charts, especially while there's hundreds of games on sale right now, that's really not weird. Again, it's just kind of a testament as to how solidly this game was selling without even being released. But let's just go ahead and click on this profile picture to see what fucking Scooby-Doo ass villain is behind this. Yup, that completely checks out. Let's have a good day now. But like I said, this is a thread, not a singular tweet, so let's just see how PlayStation Twitter responded to the fucking bat signal being raised here. Wow, Starfield that low on the charts. Tell me this isn't the Xbox stench. So just so we're on the same page, there are over 50,000 games on Steam. The fact that a game that hasn't even come out yet has remained in the double digits on the sales charts for this long is on its own impressive. But we all seem to, again, be forgetting the fact that up until this point, Starfield's been in the top 50. And to my knowledge, the upper parts of the top 50 this whole time. Remember, in the very screenshot that you posted to start this thread, Starfield was at number 65 in the heat of a Steam sale, and the game is not on sale. And you're interpreting this as a W for PlayStation?
Who the fuck do you think is watching your... What?
What's Starfield doing down there? Oh, I don't know, giving everyone else some room to breathe for the first time in fucking weeks? Also, excuse all the Brotato gameplay on my channel recently. I've been completely addicted to this game. It's so much fucking fun. It's basically just min-max the game. Like, this is the video game equivalent of doing a math problem and then having to complete a Binding of Isaac dungeon to see the answer. And your answer can use 6 guns at once. It's fucking awesome. Buy this game. Also, I want a Brotato mod that replaces the potato with Doom guy and reskins all the aliens to different Doom demons. Fucking modders, make it happen.
Designers, make it work, and you have less than an hour.
Doesn't matter how much at Xbox, at Microsoft hype Starfield, it doesn't look good at all. It's been delayed by almost a year, No Man's Sky has done everything Starfield is supposed to do, the gameplay looks clunky and dated, looks like gamers are not impressed in general. Because No Man's Sky is an RPG, right? With a bunch of classes and skills, right? It's a single-player RPG with in-depth dialogue choices and shooting and leveling. Also, how can you even possibly think gamers aren't impressed with this game in response to a post about how fucking dominant Starfield sales have been? Oh my god.
So, what game do we have here? What game is this?
I think most of Starfield's audience is coming from Xbox and Game Pass and not from Steam. Xbox don't play games, bruh. Bro, you have a Twitter account entirely dedicated to PlayStation. You're no better than everyone else on this fucking app. Like, you are a fucking bottom tier Twitter account. Like, you're not even mid tier. You're so bottom tier, it wouldn't even be funny if someone pulled you out in tournament. But also, there's some comedy in the fact that this all started with you bringing up Baldurs Gate 3. Like, do PlayStation guys even know what fucking Baldurs Gate is? And since when do PlayStation guys use PC stuff as ammo against Xbox? Because look at this initial screenshot. That's a PC screenshot. Is your own platform really so devoid of advantages that you have to come use ours instead? Like, fucking get off my lawn. PlayStation Twitter hated us PC guys until like 5 seconds ago. Ha ha ha, I'll play both as I own both. Starfield is going to be game changing. Anyone that knows the gaming industry and the support they've had knows this. That's why publishers are changing their dates. They're grounded in reality. Nope, it'll come and be forgotten, only for the PC modders to give it some life. Will be dead on Xbox.
Oh. Okay, that was fine.
Which is why there was a 1,300% increase in Xbox console sales after the Direct, right? And why the $300 collector's editions sold out immediately, right? And why there is an entire horde of people who are going to play this through Game Pass on top of the Steam sales and pre-orders for Xbox that have already gone through. Like, yeah, obviously, this game's fucking DOA. Prepare the tears, because your character will be 100% sad points. I don't know what the fuck that meant. I'm gonna cut that. I can play both. Don't care, lol. So why you here? Because your tweet was on my feed. So, ignore it? I mean, I'd respond to this, but this reply nailed it, so I'll just leave it on screen. Give you a second to read it. Maybe go get a snack. Okay, let's move on. Both games look great. Also, stop coping. Starfield looks like utter shit. What a worthwhile contribution to the internet that response was. Starfield also getting destroyed by The Witcher 3, a game that came out almost 8 years ago. Yeah, Witcher 3 is also one of the most acclaimed RPGs of all time, and it's on a fucking fat sale right now, so yeah, no shit, it's selling well. Nobody gonna play Starfield on Steam. But it's been at the top. Never mind. So many salty, toxic, fake people gamers on here only want to talk about Xbox. How about buy a bloody PS5 and play some games? I love this. OP brings up Starfield to talk shit about Xbox exclusives, and then directly compares it to Baldur's Gate 3, a completely different kind of game on a completely different platform in the comparison, and when people start pointing out how stupid this is, you think it's because of fake people wanting to talk about Xbox. Like, bro, OP is the one who brought up Xbox in the first place. If I throw a sandwich at your head and you catch it, you don't get arrested for breaking the no sandwich rule. Like, I'm the one that brought the sandwich and provoked your engagement with the sandwich. But also, you demand we buy a PlayStation if we want games, but like, PlayStation doesn't have this game. So what was the point of saying this at all? I love how eager the PlayStation base is to talk shit on Starfield. Like, they're so eager that they're just making things up now. This game is selling amazingly. Just because it dropped from a really impressive spot on the charts to a slightly less impressive spot on the charts, that doesn't mean there's anything at all going poorly for it. And this also glosses over the fact that y'all take every possible opportunity to brag about exclusives on the PlayStation, but the literal second that Xbox does the same thing, you lose your minds. I think it's safe to say that Starfield looks awesome. And that's coming from someone who was never really super into Bethesda RPGs. You know, I grew up in the 360 era, so I dabbled with the Fallout and Elder Scrolls games, but they never really grabbed me. I've been meaning to go back and try them again, but this game honestly looks amazing. Like, way better than I was expecting it to at the Xbox Showcase last weekend. And regardless of what you think about how the game looks or how you personally feel about it, the game is going to be a huge seller. It's already a top seller on Steam. The pre-orders for the physical deluxe edition sold out in like 2 days. And with how much hype there is around the return of single-player Bethesda RPGs, especially one that looks this promising, it's going to be a huge financial success, no way around it. And the fact that the financials of this game are even a topic of conversation is kind of just indicative of how backwards a lot of people online seem to think about the video game industry nowadays. But that being said, the other day, it was reported that Phil Spencer has confirmed that Starfield will indeed make money.
What? You don't say. You don't say. You don't say!
Now, before you jump on Phil Spencer for saying this out of the blue, or like, why would Phil Spencer say that? I should point out that he didn't say it out of the blue as much as the headline would like you to think he did. Like, Seriously, this is a god-awful headline. What happened was Phil Spencer was deliberately asked about Xbox's money-making strategies and what that looks like, to which he responded very elaborately. Quote, let's say we're going to ship Halo 2, and we're not shipping it on Nintendo, we're not shipping it on Sony. Nobody ever asked me, how does the profit and loss for this game work when you're not selling it everywhere you can sell it? What you did on old school consoles is you said, how many consoles are you going to sell because Halo 2 launches, how long will those players stay on the platform, and how many games will they buy, and does that make it more cost effective to keep the game exclusive to your platform? When I look at Game Pass, we are absolutely going to make money on Starfield, touch wood, that's the plan. And we will grow Game Pass, and Xbox will be a better platform both on PC and console. For us, it's about expanding our platform reach, and we think important games like Starfield will be catalysts for Game Pass growth on many different platforms. Now, how you could read any of that and get angry is beyond me, but then again, it is the current year. And I think his answer there was actually really interesting. It's not just that Starfield is going to sell really well, which it is. Again, the game's been at the top of Steam charts for a while now, which, like, at this point, you could sell the game on PC alone and probably turn a profit, but that's besides the point. It's not just the game sales, it's the Game Pass subscribers, it's the ongoing money they make from that, it's the console sales, it's how much money they're going to generate from the people buying the console, then buying Game Pass, buying the console and Game Pass and some games, and all the fucking people buying the collector's edition. Like, Starfield is going to be a massive revenue generator for Xbox, no way around it. They're going to make a lot of money off of this. The fact that Phil Spencer simply saying a major Bethesda RPG is going to make money, like, the fact that that statement alone was enough to rustle people's jimmies is honestly just depressing at this point. But then again, console war is gonna console war, and PC is gonna sit there in a comfy chair and watch with snacks and coffee. So how much is the cost of Starfield development? Lol, Xbox claiming the game will make profit and they don't know the cost. Because apparently Phil Spencer is an Xbot? Question mark. I also love this. Xbots don't even know the cost. Okay. Do you know the cost? Like, you don't have the information either. And also, the information that you're responding to, in case you weren't aware of your own actions online, you're responding to Phil Spencer. Like, Mr. Xbox. If Phil fucking Spencer is confident that the game is going to be a financial success, I think it's safe to take his word for it. But that's also ignoring the fact that this is a Bethesda RPG. Do you know how many fucking copies Skyrim sold? Do you know how many fucking copies Fallout 4 sold? And you know how many copies those games continue to sell every single year because they have ongoing communities? Starfield isn't going to be like a few million people buy it on launch day and then that's it. This looks like a true return to form Bethesda RPG. And Bethesda RPGs sell really, really well over time. Assuming this game is business as usual for Bethesda, which we have every reason to believe it will be, this game is going to sell tremendously. Budget be damned at this point. It looks pretty low budget compared to a lot of AAA games, so it probably will. Yeah, no, it looks low budget. Looks pretty low budget to me. Just looks very basic, very simple. I mean, it's basically just Binding of Isaac graphics, you know? Or Volgar the Viking. Fuck, you're dumb. As long not on Game Pass. There were a few people doing this routine. Here's another one. So not day and date on Game Pass? Like, there's a lot of people that seem to think it's just impossible for games to be profitable or to be financially successful if they're on Game Pass. Which, like, if that were the case, if Game Pass were just a money hole that no one made profit off of, why would Xbox keep doing it? But also, tell me you didn't read the article without telling me you didn't read the article. Phil Spencer literally straight up says that it's not just about Game Pass, it's about console sales and ongoing revenue of the people on those consoles who buy consoles for Starfield. And also, this is excusing the fact that, again, top seller on Steam. #1 seller on Steam. Look at this. Oh, Lost Ark? Really? Lost Ark is #2? I mean, fucking GG's, I guess. But right now, June 14th, Starfield is the #1 paid game on Steam, and it's not out for another, 3 months. Why is it so unfathomable to believe that Phil Spencer expects this game to be financially successful? You don't even have to wait for the game to come out. We already know it will be. Phil Spencer is just pointing out the obvious. I hope they don't. That's a piece of shit game. Really? This is where we're at now. We're going back to the 2005 insults of your Xbox game is shitty. It's not out, but it's shitty. It shouldn't make money. It's shitty. Nyeh. When they release it on other platforms. Yes, because Starfield isn't going to make money until it's released on the PlayStation. Oh my god. I don't understand people who are like, yes, Sony's business model of releasing games only on PlayStation, that is such a good business model. But releasing games on Xbox and PC, that can't possibly be successful. They won't make money until it's released on other platforms. Not to keep repeating myself, but it is the top paid game on the biggest PC distribution site in the world, and it's not even out yet. Also, reminder that the physical collector's edition, that is sold out. It's sold out almost immediately, and once they restock, it will again sell out immediately. Even if Game Pass wasn't a factor, this game is going to sell very well. I know it's hard for you to wrap your head around the fact that there are other platforms than PlayStation that are doing fine financially, but Starfield is going to succeed. I don't know what to tell you. This game won't even sell 3 million. Their business model is crazy to me. I really hate modern gaming discussion. Like, this game won't even sell 3 million. Are you aware of how many games even make it to 3 million a year? Like, it's a handful. It was just a few weeks ago that Square Enix was celebrating 1 million sales for Octopath Traveler 2. Like, 1 million was a cause for celebration. This is such a, like, perpetually AAA mindset. Like, this is a mindset you only see from people who only play AAA games. It's like, unless a game sells, like, 10 million copies, it was a failure. 1 million copies was a cause for celebration. Also, in July of 2021, Sony confirmed that Returnal sold about 500,000 copies and Ratchet & Clank sold 1.1 million, and those were considered successes for them. But here you are, it's not even going to sell 3 million. It's not even going to sell triple of Ratchet & Clank? Question mark? And like, even if that were true, that's what you're sticking with? I just hate how jaded people are nowadays regarding like copies sold of games, because even if it was 3 million copies, even if Starfield hit 3 million, that'd be a success. Like, obviously 3 million would be a disappointment for this game specifically, but I just hate how people are so dismissive of games selling multiple millions of copies. Like, oh my god, have some perspective. Fuck. Looks like a future-based Red Dead Redemption ripoff, because Red Dead Redemption is an RPG. What? And even if that were true, are you kidding me? You wouldn't want that? Even like, you're telling me you wouldn't want Red Dead Redemption in space? Even if that was an accurate description of Starfield, you're telling me you wouldn't want Red Dead Redemption in space? Fucking what? So I went over to the Starfield Twitter and I found this new tweet looking for content creators to apply to get the game early, which, I mean, I don't know why you would apply to get the game early when the early access period is the same as the paid early access period. Like, I get wanting to get content creators on the game early, but if they wanted to do that, wouldn't they just buy the game early? But anyways, as a content creator, Starfield is coming September 6th. You can apply to be considered for a premium edition game code inclusive of early access period starting on September 1st on the key mailer campaign. And of course, one of the top replies is Samuel. Is Starfield next gen? No high frame rates, no ray tracing? Question mark? No 4K? Question mark? No utilization of SSD? Question mark? Will cost you $70. And look, I think it's bullshit that the game is 30 FPS on console. I think there's no good reason for there not to be at least a performance setting. Next gen game, first party RPG, like there should be 60 FPS on this game. But the rest of this shit? No, incorrect. I mean, also high frame rates are completely available on the PC version, so I'm not sure where you're getting this no high frame rates from. It's not like the ratio's doing you any good here.
That's gotta hurt!
I love just the complete ignorance here. No 4K, wrong across the board. No utilization of SSD. You literally have to have an SSD to run the game on any platform. Like, there's SSDs in the consoles, and you have to have an SSD to play it on PC, so literally, where are you getting this? I did notice the Insomniac Wolverine profile picture, so I went ahead and went to his profile, which, good golly gosh, it was a gold mine. Is anyone pre-ordering Starfield? Definitely not. Xbox Series sales see 1,335% increase following Showcase/Starfield Direct. More like 1%. Fucking got 'em. The Starfield Direct is managing to convince even PlayStation diehards. Don't believe it has, laughing crying. 30 FPS for a next-gen shooter was the final nail in the coffin. Because there's no 30 FPS on the PS5. That is nonsense. Don't even suggest such a thing. First-party PlayStation performance is so much better. Like, unlocked 40 FPS. Which is still one of the funniest things I've ever read. The Digital Foundry Direct special you've been waiting for. We dissect the excellent Starfield Direct, discussing rendering, visuals, gameplay, and of course the decision to cap at 30 frames per second. They made that decision after they realized they couldn't run it at 30. Question mark. I'm pretty sure this guy literally just searched Starfield in Twitter and then looked for anything that he could go and try and take a shit on, even if he was literally wrong about it, because that's the way people like to spend their days on Twitter, I guess. Although I did find some irony because another one of his recent tweets was responding to something pointing out that Spider-Man is doing well on Steam right now because it's on sale. To which he responded, Spider-Man hype is real, muscles. So by all means, hype up Spider-Man 2, but ambitious open world multi-planet RPG? You better not be excited for that, boy. I'll fucking shut you right up. Peter Ovo, who, yes, is a complete Xbox fanboy, but also he had a nice screenshot that I'm using, so fucking gimme that. Someone named Pastor PlayStation says, hope they make more review bombs. Already have 25 accounts ready for release. A little payback for Last of Us, Horizon, Gran Turismo, all PlayStation games that Xbox like to review bomb. Also, he said playback instead of payback, because being able to spell correctly is not a prerequisite of being a complete Sony fanboy. But Pastor PlayStation actually responded to this screenshot, said, look, now I'm famous, so now thanks to you, let's make it double. 50 accounts. It will be a meme anyway when you see Starfield with user score 2.0. Anyway, on Xbox minds, user score is more important. A game can be Game of the Year candidate, but have 2.0 user score and it's a flop clown emoji. You are either a troll account or legitimately delusional. I did a little digging and I actually found the original tweet here, and someone responded, lol, yay for you, it's sad really, but whatever boils your noodles, kid. That just shows how much hurt this game is causing you, be well. And he responds, it's called justice. Because all those Xbox review bombs on PlayStation exclusives have been so successful. The reputation of those games have been completely tarnished forever and evermore. Good fucking lord. At this point, I just searched Starfield on Twitter and started going through the latest, and surprise, it didn't take me that long to find shit. And like, if people are gonna just randomly shit on Starfield, I might as well just randomly shit on the people shitting on it, because this is content. If Microsoft didn't buy Bethesda, we'd all have Starfield and Xbox clowns would have nothing to brag about. So you agree paying for exclusives from companies that you didn't have before is lame? If Sony didn't pay off Square Enix, we'd all have Final Fantasy 16. If Sony didn't pay off FromSoft, we'd all have Bloodborne. If Sony weren't complete dicks about the Spider-Man license, we'd all have Spider-Man. Exclusives are dumb, no matter who's doing them. But to act like Microsoft did something like uniquely shitty here is just kind of dumb. Smells like seethe to me. I like this one. Spider-Man 2 is making history with $230 collector's edition pre-order selling out within minutes. But Starfield, bro, literally no one was talking about Starfield. This is my favorite thing that Sony fanboys do. It's like they go out of their way to talk shit about Xbox at every opportunity, but then they act like whatever they said was relevant, or like they act like they were on topic by doing it. Like, PlayStation fans are some of the most boastful people on the internet, to the point that you bring up Xbox when no one is talking about Xbox. Also, Starfield's collector's edition sold out as well, so I don't really know why you're bringing Starfield up at all. That was quick. Looked like Starfield died. Spider-Man rules, the biggest IP coming out this generation. Yeah, apparently Spider-Man briefly passed Starfield on the Steam charts because it went on sale and there's a big Steam sale going on. And also the Starfield hype has been, starting to die down. I'm recording this on June 16th, so it's been 6 days since the Starfield Direct, which, like, yeah, that's how this works. That's not really the dub you think it is. The fact that it took this long for something to pass Starfield on the Steam charts, that's a testament to Starfield's success, nothing else. Like, the fact that it took this long for Starfield to move down the Steam charts, and it's still at the top of the charts, by the way, like, it's still in the top handful of games on Steam, and it's not even out yet. The fact that it took one of the biggest AAA games of recent memory to go on sale, the fact that that's what it took to bump Starfield down a bit after this much time and the game still isn't out for another like 2.5 months, That's not the W you think it is. Also, yeah, a major AAA game with the sequel coming out this year goes on sale, so obviously people are picking it up. The same way that if there's a big Bethesda sale in the near future, which I'm sure there will be, because there usually is in the mid to late summer, there's usually big Bethesda sales. I guarantee you that if there's a Bethesda RPG sale on Steam, Bethesda RPGs are going to jump to the top of the sales charts. That's just how this works. Spider-Man 2 is going to slap everything but Starfield. Also, it's going to be better than Starfield, just not so much that it makes it an afterthought. I love, like, the reluctance to talk shit about a game, like the slow acceptance that maybe Microsoft has a good exclusive coming. I haven't played either game. Spider-Man's gonna beat it, just not that bad. Spider-Man's gonna be better than every other Xbox game. But maybe not that much better than Starfield, actually. It might not actually be that much better than Starfield. Like, I love it. I just love the slow acceptance that maybe Microsoft has good games and it's really not a big deal, guys. Just play the fucking games you want to play. The fact that we're exclusive warring with 2 games that aren't even out for another few months is just fucking stupid. Starfield's not even as next gen as No Man's Sky. 18 quintillion planets, 60 FPS, and multiplayer. I'm so fucking tired of the No Man's Sky comparisons. Like, yes, these 2 games have lots of planets and exploration on the planets, therefore they're the same. Doesn't matter that one of them is literally an RPG and the other one isn't. Like, guys, this is so low effort. I just think it's funny that the Sony guys are always so eager to juice up their exclusives without ever seeing them, or like to hype up their exclusives without ever getting a single taste of live gameplay. They shit all over Xbox for literally anything they do. They suck Sony's dick for literally anything they do. And then the literal second Microsoft has a decent exclusive on their hands, you lose your minds. The second Microsoft starts doing the exact same thing that you praise Sony for doing, you lose it. It's so stupid. If you've been on Twitter to any capacity over the last few months, you've probably seen a number of very, very bad Starfield takes. I've covered a few on this channel, some of my favorites being Starfield won't have SSD utilization, or Starfield is No Man's Sky 2.0 because it will only have 100 inhabited planets. There was also a guy who bragged about having a bunch of fake Metacritic accounts that he was going to use to get the game down to a 2.0 Metascore, but believe it or not, the worst was still upon us, because now that all the kind of redeemable bad takes about Starfield have been let loose, Twitter has had to dig a little deeper in order to find stuff about Starfield that indicates how horrible it is and how much it deserves to be assaulted in an alleyway with a fucking Nerf N-Strike Mega Mastodon, which weighs about 7.5 pounds, so it may not be the best for agility, but don't worry because it fires 3 rounds per second. Why did I write that? So this all started when someone over at Twitter thought it would be hysterical to put this nonsense on my timeline. 4 years later, and Destiny 2 is still burying Starfield, supposedly biggest game of 2023, as per Xbox fanboys. And then he attaches a screenshot of the Steam charts, where Destiny 2 is at number 5. Oh, okay. Looking at the origin of this nonsense, I'm really not sure what to make of this account. Like look at it. It looks like a troll account. Literally all this guy does is talk about PlayStation and engage in console wars, which is troll-like behavior, but also if this account is trolling, this is a lot of time to commit to the bit, because he's active all day. But then again, whether or not this guy is trolling is kind of irrelevant, because even if this initial post is a troll, the people who engaged with it also by revenue. This is just sad. Destiny has millions of players spending more money today, and Baldurs Gate pre-orders started the 12th, with a screenshot of Starfield being beaten out in terms of Steam revenue. Well, fucking good golly gosh, I can't imagine why those 2 games would be getting more revenue than Starfield. You know, 2 games with active updates that are currently playable and get tons of media attention. They're outselling pre-orders of a game that's not out till September. Like, fuck, dude, don't tell me you're actually buying into this. Like, are you guys really so desperate for W's here that you're going to look at a popular live service game and a fresh out of the oven release with a big online presence, You're seriously surprised that those two games are generating more revenue than a game that isn't out yet and has had pre-orders live for weeks on end? Like, most of the pre-orders that Starfield was going to get have already been made. They were made within the couple weeks after the big gameplay showcase. I made a video a couple weeks ago about how it was near the top of the Steam charts, literally up to the point of the start of the summer sale. And according to your screenshot here, Starfield is now once again near the top of the charts, now that there aren't, 10 million things on sale. You're literally displaying a Starfield W here, and you don't notice it. You're over here talking about how much money Destiny 2 and Baldurs Gate 3 are making, all while disregarding the fact that it's a ridiculous comparison. But even in your own evidence here, you show that despite the comparison being completely unfair, Starfield still isn't that far behind them in terms of revenue. After all that. Good lord. But Starfield is #1 wishlisted. Doesn't cost anything to make a sock account and wishlist. Oh, that's the theory now? That's the theory now. That Xbox people are just making burner Steam accounts to juice Starfield on the Steam wishlist? That's the going theory? Like, there's no other explanation for the game being wishlisted by a lot of people? Also, without meaning any disrespect to the other games on this list, there's nothing even remotely as high profile as Starfield here. Like, this game does not have heavy competition for being the most wishlisted game on Steam, you know? And I mean, this is all glossing over the fact that you genuinely seem to think that there's like a secret cabal of Steam wishlisters. Because, I mean, according to this tweet, you clearly don't think it would have the #1 wishlist spot if it weren't for the bots, right? Meaning you think Starfield should be getting beaten out in terms of wishlists by Hollow Knight on Steam. That's just not happening. There's no conspiracy. You're just dumb. And a small indie game burying D2. I mean, that's a good point. If you want to take the Steam charts here as an absolute indication of quality, and that's why Destiny 2 is dominating Starfield, congratulations, Destiny 2 is being fucking spanked by BattleBit Remastered. Xbox stands will say it's because Starfield is unreleased, but already declare this and avowed and other unreleased content Game of the Year contenders. Much like the system they simp over, it's all talk with no walk. I mean, if you really want to be stingy about it, I can say these two things don't even contradict each other, because everyone knows that no matter how well or poorly Starfield reviews, it's going to be one of the best-selling games of the year, and it will absolutely be nominated for a bunch of Game of the Year awards because it's a Bethesda RPG, you know? The same way that we can always expect Naughty Dog and Rockstar games to be nominated for a bunch of Game of the Year awards on top of selling super well. It's just something to be expected from a game of this profile. A lot of those things are decided before the game even comes out. Everyone knows that. But even if this game wasn't going to be nominated for anything, and even if it ends up being complete garbage on launch day, that doesn't erase the fact that it looks really good now and really promising now, so obviously people are pre-ordering and wishlisting it now. You fucking doofus. Destiny 2 kinda boring, not gonna lie. Better than anything Xbox ever released, TBH. Remember guys, Starfield is bad and lame and dumb and really bad, and we already know how bad Starfield is. But Destiny 2, that's better than everything Xbox has released.
The nerve of some of those peasants, huh?
Tell me about it.
Look, I know the meme is that Xbox games are poopy shit, and but like, do I really need to go down the list? Do I really need to make a gimmick Twitter account called Xbox Games Better Than Destiny 2? And Destiny 2 is on the Xbox anyway, so how is this a W to a PlayStation stan? Like, you guys are getting way too desperate for W's. It's not a good look. This screams friendly fire. You as a PC player are a part of the Xbox ecosystem, Lamau. Take the sweatband off. You're not on Hot Topic. PC gamers choosing to spend more money on a game that's already out than they are a game that isn't out yet. You think that's friendly fire? Fucking why? Also, by this logic, you're basically just like, fuck you to everyone who pre-ordered Starfield and then played Destiny 2, because you expect people to continue helping Starfield hold its top spot after they've pre-ordered it? What else can they do at that point, you fucking goose? Also, just newsflash, the PC is not part of the Xbox ecosystem. It's the other way around. The Xbox is part of the PC ecosystem. The PC's ecosystem was existing just fine without Xbox, and now we're happy that Xbox has come and, and joined the party. But the Xbox is not the PC. I know Xbox people are desperate for W's too, but this one's fucking stupid. No body and thinking about a boring ass wannabe No Man's Sky, Starfield, and if it do sell, watch it get boring ratings. You want a good space game? No Man's Sky 1 and 2 is where it's at and the best.
That's bait.
Baldurs Gate 3 gonna expose Starfield.
Whoa. This is worthless.
It's less than worthless, my boy.
Look, if you think Baldur's Gate is gonna outsell Starfield, I just don't know what to tell you. The game was on the top of Xbox and Steam charts for fucking weeks just with pre-orders. If the game is at least like a 7 out of 10, it's going to continue selling like crazy during its first month. And if it's as good as we're expecting it to be, it's going to continue to sell like crazy for the remainder of the year, and I mean at the very least, just like every other Bethesda RPG. Does that mean Baldur's Gate 3 is going to sell poorly? Of course not. They're different games appealing to very different regions of the RPG player base for the most part. Like, yeah, I guess it's possible Starfield faceplants, like if it launches and it's like on fire and full of racial slurs, but at this point that's just not looking like it's going to happen. What scares me is Starfield might outperform Spider-Man 2.
Zooey mama, that's scary.
Bro, why does that scare you? Why are you scared? Why do you have any opinions about it at all? Same with the whole Baldur's Gate 3 exposed guy. Like, why do you care? Yeah, Starfield and Spider-Man are probably gonna be big sellers. They're big AAA games, that's a given. Which one's gonna sell more? I don't know. What difference is it gonna make to your experience? I don't know. I love watching the internet divide into two camps over Starfield. Like, on one side, you have the people excited for Starfield and making speculative videos, getting hyped for it. And then on the other half of the internet, you have people who are absolutely furious that the game exists in the first place, and they're taking it as like a moral duty to make sure everyone knows it sucks. I said duty. And like, I know that happens with literally every first-party game from every first-party company, but it's especially bad here. Like, Starfield is this gigantic game with a ton of stuff to talk about and plenty of gameplay concerns that you could make, or market concerns over exclusivity that you could be hammering Microsoft and Xbox for, but instead, you're literally grasping at straws that aren't even straws. Like, yeah, no shit, Destiny 2 is generating more revenue on Steam than Starfield. No shit, Baldur's Gate is getting more media attention right now than Starfield. None of you have any idea how any of this works, and it just hammers home the centuries-old adage: PlayStation stands don't play games. The closer we get to the launch of Starfield, the saltier the internet gets about it. Like, personally, I'm not complaining, because I'd take a certain kind of stupid joy out of seeing PlayStation guys lose their minds about Xbox having a good-looking exclusive game in the pipeline, while simultaneously praising Sony exclusives that aren't out yet, and in some cases, we haven't seen a single second of gameplay. Like, the amount of preemptive praise I've seen for Last of Us Factions and Wolverine coming from the same people dumping on Starfield is just hysterical, and I'll never shy away from the opportunity to make fun of the absurdity of the PlayStation faithful. I do think Starfield has generated more salt on this app than anything else in the past. Because, like, I go to my For You tab on Twitter, and then boom, this is the first thing that I see, and then scroll down for 5 seconds, and boom, I see this. I'm not sure why I have to say this, but if you haven't played a game, you probably shouldn't review it, and if you're upset about reviews for a game you haven't played, maybe it's time to shut up and play video games for once. I'm sure you may have also seen the news that Starfield went gold recently, and PlayStation fanboys started taking credit for it, somehow. Like, you realize games have to go gold before they're released, right? Like, every game ever released had to go gold prior to launch. This is not a standard set by PlayStation, you fucking morons. Alex made a whole video about this, so go watch that. I don't want to double dip on Starfield Salt, because good golly gosh, there's plenty of Starfield Salt to go around. But the other day, this thread passed my For You page on Twitter, and yes, I'm still calling it Twitter. Stop trying to make X a thing. It's not going to be a thing. And it's from one of the usual suspects, our boy Unleashed. In case you're new here or you missed the last few episodes of Joe from Seattle's Starfield Salt, Unleashed is a raging PlayStation fanboy that has some of the worst takes I've ever seen when it comes to the console war. And some have argued that this dude is just a troll who's just cheesing engagements, but whether or not that's true, his threads attract people who are most certainly not trolling, so no matter how you want to look at today's thread in question, get ready to be depressed.
Also, Unleashed is active like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so if he's trolling, this is a lot of time to commit to the bit with no monetary response. Which, honestly, I think that's kind of worse than being a troll account. So again, no matter how you want to look at this, everyone involved here is just kind of pathetic. But anyways, the thread in question. It all started with this tweet on August 17th. Xbox fanboys for 2 years couldn't stop proclaiming Series X the most powerful console any chance they got. Now they are suddenly okay playing Starfield in 20 to 30 FPS. We aren't letting that one slide, Xbox fanboys. Which, first of all, let's just break down the stupidity of this original tweet before we get into the stupidity of the thread. First of all, it's not like Starfield would be running above 30 FPS on the PS5 if it was there. You know, so the game being 30 FPS on Xbox being a W for PlayStation really doesn't make any flippin' sense. But also, aren't PlayStation guys the same dudes who hyped up and paid $70 for Final Fantasy 16, which got down to 17 frames per second in graphical mode and a nice juicy 33 frames per second in performance mode? Also, how quick we are to forget the fucking trash heap that was Forspoken and everything that game's performance stood for. Also, Sony's big exclusive for this year is Spider-Man 2, and it's reportedly not going to be getting above 60 FPS in performance mode, and graphical mode is going to cap at 30 frames per second as well. And I think we all know it's absolutely not going to hold 30 FPS during gameplay. Like, are we already forgetting that part of the Spider-Man 2 trailer where Venom comes out and roars at the camera and the frame rate turns into a fucking PowerPoint? Because it's 2023 and that's the kind of nonsense you're paying for on this hardware? The 9th gen consoles have pretty shit performance across the board in large-scale games with realistic art styles. Can we at least agree on that? That if you're playing a large-scale game with a realistic art style, the performance on Xbox and PlayStation is not going to be fantastic. And going up to bat for PlayStation because Starfield's performance on Xbox is going to be par for the course for this generation, it's just a really dumb look. And that's not me defending 30 FPS, mind you. That's me simply pointing out that using Starfield's Xbox frame rate as a W for PlayStation makes no goddamn sense if you take 6 seconds to think about it. But of course, this post right here was simply the bat signal being ignited for some of the dumbest takes you can possibly imagine about Starfield, so strap yourselves in because this one's a doozy. Mr. J Money Deuce says, Lamau, Xbox fans always settle for less. It's in their DNA. The absolute irony of someone with a Final Fantasy 16 profile picture talking about Xbox guys settling for less in regards to frame rate. Like, look, Final Fantasy 16 is a great game, from what I understand. I'll probably give it a whirl once you guys are done beta testing it and it's released on PC, but like, really? A Final Fantasy 16 stan is throwing pot shots at Xbox dudes over frame rates? Like, that's where we're at now? Do I even have to explain this again? You guys paid $70 for that fucking thing, and if you were playing on the pretty graphics mode, because, you know, it's a next-gen game, you weren't getting above 30 FPS either. And even if you did turn on the fucking super performance mega frame rate mode, you never passed 60 FPS, and you sometimes got back down to 30 FPS anyways. So, remind me who's been settling for less this generation? Because I think it's all of you. Ghost says, PlayStation is the basis of all combat. Only a fool trusts his life to an Xbox. What the fuck does... What? I don't even know how to interpret this, and I have to interpret this because this is not a coherent thought. PlayStation is the basis of all combat. Yeah, bro, obviously, because PlayStation games totally lay the groundwork for all other action games? Question mark? PlayStation games totally aren't just collections of other AAA ideas presented with some extra zesty particle effects, right? And nice facial animations, right? And it's not like there's even anything wrong with that, you know? Every major game is going to take influence from somewhere, but to act like the PlayStation is the basis of all combat, like, what the fuck are you on? And what does that have to do with Starfield? Are PlayStation Studios even capable of making something like Starfield? Are they even capable of making an RPG? Or are they rightfully worried that their core audience would be overwhelmed by the lack of hand-holding? But this second part is the dumbest part, like, only a fool trusts his life to an Xbox. Like, bro, it's not that deep. It's not that serious, I promise. But like, Sony lies to your face constantly. The entire Activision Blizzard acquisition drama just proved that these people have zero respect for you, with how often Jim Ryan threw his player base and his own developers under the bus just to try and get a better deal. But yeah, no, keep on keeping on here. Maybe Sony will send you a free t-shirt if you just suck their dick loud enough on Twitter. Broken Messiah, ooh, fucking edgy. Broken Messiah says, there's really dudes out here that bought expensive-ass TVs for 120 FPS games and are now saying they are fine with capped 30 FPS. Yeah, because Sony is totally killing Microsoft when it comes to frame rates, right?
Right? Wrong!
PlayStation is totally taking advantage of those 120 hertz TVs, right?
Wrong!
According to this post from a few months ago on the PS5 subreddit of all places, there's a grand total of 109 games that support 120 hertz on the PS5. And that's PS4 and PS5 games. But also hold your fucking horses, because just because there's a 120 hertz mode doesn't mean the game is actually taking full advantage of that. Because of those 109 games with the 120 hertz mode, only 90 of them are actually running at 120 frames per second. And why am I pointing this out? Because it's not a flex, you dolt. You're over here talking about how Xbox dudes, oh, they bought 120 FPS capable TVs, all the while completely oblivious to the fact that out of the 500 plus native PS5 games and 4,000 plus PS4 games that are backwards compatible, only 90 of them are actually running at your bragging point. 90 of them. Do you want me to turn that into a percentage? Probably not, because it won't be a good one. The point is that you PlayStation guys can talk all you want about Xbox dudes paying for 30 FPS, but it's not like your hardware or your side of the fence is taking advantage of the times either. When it comes to playing games at modern frame rates, you guys both got ripped the fuck off. But I can't wait for you guys to keep this energy when Spider-Man 2 comes out and caps your frame rate at 30 in order for it to look like a next-gen game, except we all know that none of you are going to do that. 30 FPS caps are fucking garbage, yes. But to act like the PS5 is just fucking frame rate central where you have to count the frames on a fucking graphing calculator because there's just so many fucking frames, it's stupid. Because you guys are still also paying $70 for garbage frame rates. Malik1th says, yes, monkey, Starfield will be game of the year. Poor thing is suffering from having no game to play for 10 years. I think we gonna loose him before the release, so let him go in peace, please. Okay. You realize Xbox has way more games than PlayStation, right? Like, the number of playable games on the Xbox is almost hilariously more than the PlayStation. But let's just assume you're talking about first-party games here, okay? What have you got after Spider-Man 2? What's in the pipeline? Wolverine? A game you literally haven't seen and don't know when to expect? Or what else is there? Whatever linear hand-holding nonsense Naughty Dog is working on? Like, why is it so hard to accept that Microsoft has a good-looking game on their hands? And again, all of this is being said in response to someone talking about underwhelming frame rates. Something that Xbox and PlayStation guys should absolutely be unified on. Stephen Kimbrough @s Phil Spencer and says, please do the world a favor and remove yourself from the gaming industry. And there you have the actual reason for all this. These people don't actually want the industry to be built on competition or ideas or anything like that. They just want it to be built on logos. Specifically one logo. The PlayStation logo. And if it's not the PlayStation logo, it needs to go away. Like, it's weird enough to have such an emotional attachment to a brand, but out of all the brands in gaming, this is the one that you hitch your wagon to? The company that has proven an endless number of times for decades that they don't give a fuck about you. They will throw your ass out on the curb the second someone writes them a big enough check. But I think the best part of this whole thing was after the thread started getting attention, OP and a lot of other people over the last few days, they followed it up with this. Starfield menu screen got leaked. Looks about as empty, generic, and boring as the procedurally generated 999 planets in the game. And I'm sure you saw a lot of people the last few days trying to say Starfield is shitty because of the menu screen. And my favorite response to that is to just show the Dark Souls menu screen. That is literally just the words Dark Souls on a plain black background. And no one ever said a fucking word about it. I've never seen people so eager to shit on a game that they use the fucking menu screen as ammo. How fucking scared are you of this game? It is embarrassing to watch. I'm recording this on August 21st. The game is not out for another 2 weeks-ish, like a week and a half until the early access period starts. I don't know what the game's gonna look like. I don't know how it's going to play. But you know what I'm going to do before I talk shit about it? I'm going to play it. Isn't that interesting? And every time I make a new Starfield video, I always come back to the same points, that there are legitimate things that you can criticize here. There are plenty of legitimate criticisms you can levy towards what we've seen of Starfield. You can criticize the lack of a 60 FPS mode. Maybe this wasn't the best way to go about doing that, because like I said earlier, it's not like the PlayStation is just fucking frame rate central. So to act like Starfield's Xbox frame rate is a W for PlayStation is really stupid. But I expect a lot from Starfield, and that's because the game, from what we've seen of it, has made me interested. It's made me care quite a lot, and I hope it's very good, and I hope it raises the bar, because guess what? If Starfield is really good and raises the bar, PlayStation has to get better. PlayStation can't just keep shitting the same 5 ideas out with different names and better facial animations. But for the love of all that is holy on God's green earth, stop shitting on the menu screen. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. While the Starfield Salt over the last few months has brought a lot of new players into the mix, it can be easy to forget about the loudest names of the console war. It's easy to just poke fun at a million people on Twitter all at once without giving any attention to the usual console warriors, and you have to wonder if the usual big-name console warriors, people like J-Tech and Crap Gamer Reviews, you gotta wonder if they're starting to feel a little left out by how much Twitter has been taking the attention away from them. Which is the only explanation I can think of as to why our boy King Thrash decided to get so anti-Starfield on Twitter the other day that he actually ended up getting hit with a community note. Twice. But who is King Thrash? Well, for context, he's someone you may have seen before if you watch fanboy response content on YouTube. He's somehow managed to garner over 14,000 subscribers on YouTube and 5,000 followers on Twitter. And if you think I've been milking Starfield recently, just look at this guy's content. We've got Exposing Starfield Part 3, it's a big series. Todd Howard caught lying about Starfield SMDH. Starfield leak shows outdated disaster. The glitches and downgrades of Starfield Part 1. Will Starfield rate higher than Baldurs Gate? How Microsoft uses your feedback to sell Xbox, which is a funny one to me because he presents that like a bad thing. Like, oh, how this company uses the consumer's feedback to make the thing more appealing. It's like, yeah, welcome to business. Xbox Series is a failure. Do Xbox influencers play Xbox? Let's investigate. I was actually going to respond to a King Thrash video a few months ago. I don't remember what video, and I don't remember why I scrapped it. I honestly just, I blocked that whole part out of my brain. But I did keep this edit that I was going to use, so now I have an excuse to show it to you.
Hello.
Extra motherfucking potassium having ass fanboys that sound stupid as fuck.
Who is this?
But why am I bringing up King Thrash? Why am I putting this gentleman in the spotlight? Well, dear viewer, King Thrash not only became the first console fanboy that I've seen to get a community note on Twitter, but he apparently got a whole article written about his stupidity on .esports. This is not a drill. So it all started here with this tweet. On August 28th, King Thrash in all of his glory tweeted out, "You cannot go to these, quote, planets because exploration was a lie. Jesus, it gets so worse." And as some of you probably noticed right away, there's probably a good fucking reason you can't go to those planets, because they are gas giants. As in, not actual walkable planets.
They're just a big ball of gas. The community note was quick to point this out, likely reading from a 5th grade textbook. Saturn, like any gas giant, does not have a solid surface on which a spacecraft can land on, as it is mostly composed of hydrogen and helium. Flying through it would be very difficult due to the extreme levels of pressure and very high temperatures. It would also be pitch dark. And it's at this point that if you were King Thrash, you would probably just tap out and go home and eat a Snickers or something. But judging by how much of my video is left, I think you already know that's not what happened. At Minty SOT responded with, "It's a gas giant. You physically cannot walk on gas. Never seen an adult so triggered over a video game before. Ready for another 100 posts bashing Starfield tomorrow?" To which King Thrash responds, "You can't physically use jetpack or make aliens into pets using mind control, but I mean, here we are." And he got hit with another strike 2. So he got hit with another community note pointing out that astronauts use jetpacks, officially called manned maneuvering units, to move around during untethered spacewalks. Although they were retired following the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster in 1986, similar tech is still used for tethered spacewalks. Congratulations, King Thrash! You have taken the Starfield Salt to such a level that you've gotten community noticed twice in 24 hours. That, I don't know if we're ever topping that. Ooh, this is my favorite part. So Crimson responds to the original tweet, "No shit, you can't walk on gas." And then King Thrash responds to that, "Yeah, and you can't make a spaceship in the shape of a robot, but I guess we choosy on fiction now." Remember that he says we're choosy on fiction now. Because literally right below this, at Tier 1 Diabetic responds, "You cannot go to this quote planet because exploration was a lie. Jesus, it gets so worse." And Thrash responds, "That's not a planet, it's a star." Oh. So now real life terminology matters. I thought we were being choosy on fiction. You can't defend your stupid ass positions by saying people are just being choosy on fiction, but then use reality as a shield from criticism. But also, the second half of this response really gets me. "You should be able to fly around its surface." Bro, a gas giant has no surface. That is the point. Rick Pendragon responds, "You're conflating technological advancements, robots, jetpack, FTL spaceships, with laws of the universe. A gas giant is a gas. One we can reach as a society, the other is set in stone." Thrash responds, "What about mind control?" Bro, my friend, are you okay? Ray B410 says, "Me when a space wizard teleports me to the surface of Neptune where wind speeds reach over 2,000 kilometers an hour." But of course Thrash responds, "I mean, that should be a thing too though. Go to a high heat, high winds, whatever. Why wouldn't people want this in a game is beyond me." Yeah, bro, Bethesda totally should have dedicated some extra dev time to checks notes, making planets that kill you instantly and are impossible to do anything on in an RPG where doing things is the whole point. You know, it's starting to sound like nothing Bethesda could have done with Starfield would have made you happy. Like, it's starting to sound like you don't even know what you want, and even if you got it, you wouldn't be happy about it. So obviously King Thrash got thoroughly annihilated in the responses. This ratio of the original tweet is absolutely incredible. And .esports wrote that aforementioned article about the whole thing. Everyone had a nice big laugh, and this would be yet another instance where if you were King Thrash here, you would probably just want to tap out, take a nap, eat another Snickers, but King Thrash is not a bitch. All right, this is not a bitch. He doesn't back down, even though he really should have. And shortly after all of this, he tweets out, "Lol, these idiots made a whole article about me saying we should be able to explore gas giants." That's actually not what the article was about. It was about how you were literally fucking wrong about how gas giants work. But good try. They somehow think this isn't possible in a video game that allows you to travel at light speed. I mean, clearly they haven't played Mass Effect, but hey, I'll let them cook. Does Mass Effect let you walk around gas giants? I didn't think they let you do that, but okay. He also tweeted out, "Damn, even No Man's Sky lets you do it, lol. It's wild out here. They so mad Starfield is a minimalist space game." Yeah, see, the thing about that is it's not
a traditional space game. Starfield is an RPG set in space. They've been open about this from the start. I don't understand why people keep trying to negatively compare Starfield to No Man's Sky when, as I've said in a million other videos, the similarities between Starfield and No Man's Sky basically begin and end with the fact that there are multiple planets and spaceships. No Man's Sky is a space survival exploration game. Starfield is an RPG set on a bunch of planets with basic mechanics of how to get from planet to planet. Oh, they so mad Starfield is a minimalist space game. No one's mad about that because we knew that. If this is what you define as a minimalist space game, yeah, we already knew that. We've known that from the start. That's not why we're here. That's not why we're excited. And that's not what Bethesda's been selling it on. So what's the point? One more. I wanted for y'all comments to pile up so I could hand out thousands of L's at once. All the lies y'all said, lol, hilarious, but I have proof as to why I said what I said. You can't beat the facts. Todd lied about the planets you could go to. Still undefeated. Starfield is trash. And this also has a phenomenal ratio after 1 hour. Oh my god. At the time that I'm making this video, he's still doing his best to redeem himself because obviously Mother Thrash raised King Thrash with the hard-headedness of a steel factory, so I'm sure this saga will continue, but for now, I'm gonna get off Mr. Bones' wild ride. I simply cannot anymore. I can no longer. But hopefully we can take away a little life lesson here, which is if you have a take on Twitter so fucking bad that an entire article gets written about you, it might be time to take a step back and just eat the fucking Snickers. As obnoxious as the PlayStation fanboys get, you have to give them this. They are nothing if not consistent and unified. So happy Starfield launch day, everyone. I'm recording this on September 6th at 8:30 a.m. Colorado time, and I plan on finally diving into this game once this video is rendering and uploading, and I guess that's all it has to do. And I can't wait for everyone else on the internet to play Starfield for the very first time today. This has been kind of a weird early access period. I'm honestly not sure why they did the early access the way that they did. I mean, by all means, if it works, it works, but like it definitely makes the official launch day feel a little anticlimactic. But anyways, Starfield has officially launched. The Steam numbers are looking juicy. The Xbox numbers are looking juicy. And so far, everything looks pretty good. But since September 6th marks the day that Xbox did a thing, that means if you're a PlayStation fan on the internet, you have to either talk shit about it or kill yourself. And at this point, people are they're just digging deep, you know? I mean, I've made how many Starfield Salt videos at this point? It's hard to imagine that they're actually still finding new angles to take with this game. With every video that I make, the more desperate they get. And every time I think we're at the bottom and they're like, all right, that's the most desperate we can go, you know? All right, we compared Starfield pre-release to Destiny 2. Alright, that's the lowest we can go. But then nope, actually, we reviewed Starfield based on the live action trailer and nothing else. It's like, alright, great. That's the new low bar. Nope, actually, Baldurs Gate 3 came out and it was really good. Therefore, Starfield is going to suck, I guess. You would think they would just let it go at this point, you know? Pull an Elsa, let it go, move on. I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 launched on PS5 today as well. You could just go play that after all of the shit you talked about Xbox for not having Baldur's Gate. I can't wait to see how many PlayStation fanboys are actually playing Baldur's Gate this week, because I have a feeling it's not gonna be that many of them. I also just feel the need to point out that, you know, Starfield got a lot of shit leading up to release for its performance on Xbox, and rightfully so. You know, I'm of the opinion that no 60 FPS mode in the current year is unacceptable. That's just not a compromise I'm ever gonna make. Granted, I'm a PC gamer, so really doesn't affect me, but I just found it funny how many PlayStation guys were using Baldur's Gate 3 as ammo against Starfield and also talking shit about Starfield's performance when how's that game running on PS5? But anyways, let's just go through some of the best salty tweets from the Starfield launch day, because it's launch day and there were salty tweets still. Again, you'd think they would have gotten it out of their system by now. So Dave Oshry I think that's how you pronounce his name, tweeted out something about Starfield cities not having maps and instead having signs that you use to maneuver the cities yourself and learn where everything is, similar to Morrowind. And given the fact that this means there's less hand-holding in the game, you can imagine that some PlayStation guys were furious about this. Hyped quote tweeted it and said Starfield doesn't have a map and instead annoys the player with having to walk and find their way around because of immersion. But no landing or taking off your ship is because it will get annoying after some time, hence why there's just fast travel instead. Xbox logic. Yeah, those things aren't equatable, in case you didn't realize that. Starfield is a game about traversing the map and exploring the map on foot, so equating that to a loading screen that takes you from planet to planet, you know, on foot section to on foot section, that's kind of stupid. And also, it annoys the player with having to walk and find their way around without a mini-map. Boy, oh boy, I got news for you next time you leave your house. He wasn't the only one. The Red Dragon quote tweeted this and said, in 2023, you can pull up a map anytime on your phone. Go to any mall in America or large building and see maps that say you are here. In 2330 Starfield, none of that exists, and that's great, kids. The cope for terrible design decisions on this game is wild. I love this. I said this in a previous video, but a lot of PlayStation guys seem to hate Starfield just instinctively because it's pretty much the opposite of what Sony told you a good game is supposed to be. Also, I didn't hear any of you guys talking shit about Ghost of Tsushima not having a mini-map. Didn't Ghost of Tsushima have like a more immersive HUD style to its open world? I didn't hear you guys talk any shit about that. But anyways, like, yeah, I guess it'd be nice to have a mini-map that you can pull up, but I really don't see the problem in a big immersive RPG with not having that. Just learn the map, explore the environment. Like, genuinely, why is the lack of hand-holding such an issue to these people? You don't need a big green line pointing to where you're going next in order to be, in order to have fun in a game. Shouldn't Elden Ring be the biggest example of that too? Hyped was on a roll today. Final Fantasy 16 first week sales 3 million versus Starfield 2 million, and he tweeted this out before the launch of the game even happened, by the way. If Final Fantasy 16 was a flop, then Starfield is a disaster. Early access is just a fancy way of releasing the game while not making day one on Game Pass look like a lie. What the fuck does that even mean? So first of all, you're comparing Final Fantasy 16 in its first week to Starfield before it's out and before we even have official numbers. The numbers you're using here are from Play Tracker. And look at this, all it says is 1 million plus. That's it. You really think only 1 million plus on Xbox and 1 million plus on PC? You really think that's all that's happening? You think that's where we're capping out? I also want to point out that I'm recording this on Wednesday. The game launched on a Wednesday. It's not going to peak on a Wednesday morning, you fucking goofball. Like, I don't know why they chose to launch this game on a Wednesday. I'm scratching my head at that one still. But you're comparing the first week, the full week of Final Fantasy 16 sales, and comparing that to Starfield pre-release estimates for a game that launches on a Wednesday. Oh my god. Interesting observation. Starfield peak players at full launch today was roughly the same as early access launch. September 1st, 234,000. September 6th, 250,000. Same hour, 2 o'clock UTC. Which, in case you didn't know, 2 o'clock UTC on Wednesday is 8 p.m. on Tuesday in the States. Because a Tuesday evening is totally where this game is going to peak, you fucking doofus. With an existing player base, you'd expect a much higher increase than 7%. Okay, because apparently I have to spell this fucking nonsense out for you. The game had its early access period for the last 5-6 days, and the fact that it's maintained this many people over its early access period is impressive on its own. But now we're at launch day, and he took this screenshot at about 3 a.m. Colorado time. So just keep that in mind. 3 a.m. on a fucking Wednesday is when he took this screenshot, and it's seen a 7% increase over the peak of the early access period. I really don't care about anything else. That's impressive on its own, especially when we're talking about numbers that big, and especially when we're also only talking about Steam. These numbers are just Steam. It doesn't count Game Pass on Xbox or PC. It also doesn't count all the people who pre-ordered on Xbox, all the people who bought the game day one on Xbox, or the people who are going to buy the game in the opening weekend on Xbox, people who haven't gone and picked up their copy yet, people who haven't downloaded the game yet. It's like the big green go live button was clicked, and immediately you people are like, oh, well, that's the peak of the game. That's as big as the numbers are getting. Huh, that's disappointing. All the while that even if that were true, even if these were the peak numbers, that would still be impressive. Like, fucking good lord, you're like poo-pooing and being like, you'd expect much higher numbers than that. For 250,000 concurrent players on Steam on a Wednesday morning. You're talking about 250,000 people on Steam, and you're like, I was expecting more than that. That's upsetting. Like, what is wrong with you people? Rick's Mix says, yeah, Starfield is the game of the generation, especially after seeing this. Ew. And then he includes a literal cinematic from Horizon Forbidden West. Like, not even gameplay, a CGI cutscene from Horizon Forbidden West, which you can staple me to the wall for this, but I cannot stand this franchise. It is so fucking shallow and I can't stand it. It bores me to tears. I really did try to get into the Horizon games because they are gorgeous and technically they are very impressive. Absolutely, they are very technically impressive, but gameplay wise, they make me want to put spoons up my nose because then I would at least feel something. But you know, even if you love the Horizon games, I don't know how you can think Forbidden West is the game of the generation. Like, Horizon is the perfect example of a game that looks as pretty as possible while also scratching your serotonin receptor in the most lazy and guaranteed, like, return on investment way possible. Can we at least agree on that? I'm not saying you can't like it. I'm not saying you can't enjoy it. But can we at least agree on the fact that it is putting way more effort into looking nice than being original or innovative? Rated D PhD says, mediocrity at its finest. Starfield is literally the best the Xbox brand has to offer. I'm very happy that I have always put my faith in Sony and Nintendo instead of Xbox. Over under, in 2 years, Microsoft will try to buy Ubisoft and Capcom and hope to compete, decimating those companies too. All of this because of an 86 Metascore. But you put your faith in Nintendo and Sony. Well, if an 86 is mediocrity at its finest, I'm sorry about Marvel's Spider-Man. I'm also really apologetic about Ghost of Tsushima, which is that's even worse than mediocrity. I mean, that's like super mediocrity. That's like mega mediocrity. Oh my god. You people are strange. Wouldn't be a Starfield Salt video without Unleashed, who says, man, who would have thought a niche RPG game from an indie developer would absolutely decimate a hyped Bethesda game 25 years in the making. Congrats to Larian Studios. Now imagine what Spider-Man 2 will do to Starfield. Be afraid, Xbox fanboys. Be very afraid. And then he has screenshots of the Steam charts for Baldurs Gate and Starfield, and then I went to go fact check these charts, so I pulled up Steam charts myself, and the first thing I noticed here was that Titanfall 2 is up to almost 20,000 concurrent players. What the fucking shit happened there? But also, make sure it continues, please, world. But also, I mean, Starfield's not on the Steam charts yet, because similar to other people I've responded to in this video, it is incredibly early, and most of this data is just not final and not public, so it's kind of weird to start acting like it is. But if we want to look at stuff now, as in the moment right now, Starfield is the top seller on Steam. It's above CS:GO and Baldur's Gate. So can we call this one a day? Can we call it a day? Okay, look, I'm tired and I want to drink my coffee. I want to go play Starfield. So I'm gonna edit this video, and your homework for tonight is to go download Titanfall 2 on Steam and contribute to this, because I like to see this. It makes my brain happy. Happy Starfield Day, everyone. Toodles. So the discourse around Starfield has been a little hard to gauge. Personally, I'm really enjoying it, but that's really not what this video is about. During the early access period, impressions were really good, and during the launch week, that positivity kept going, but over the last week or so, Twitter has been insistent that this game is actually terrible and Bethesda sucks eggs, be it because the game isn't quite as expansive as people were hoping for, or because of the performance issues, which are completely valid criticisms. I'm not trying to put those people down at all, like, there's no denying that this game has been disappointing for some. And just for reference, the PC version of Starfield is currently sitting with a 5.6 user score on Metacritic, and a 77% approval rating on Steam. And like, ultimately that's not what this video is about, but I just think it's interesting. But overall, I think it's safe to say this game has done well for Xbox, both critically and financially. The game was reportedly played by over 6 million people by September 7th, just one day after the official launch. And while we don't know the exact breakdown on Game Pass to proper copies just yet, we do know that it's been doing fucking gangbusters on Steam, where it's a full $70. It's still the #1 paid game on Steam at the time that I'm recording this, and it's also comfortably sitting in the Steam top 10 in terms of concurrent players, which is always a big deal when a single player game achieves that, because most of the, the most played games on Steam will be games that exist on populated servers, obviously. We also have to remember just how many people bought the big collector's edition, so while I'm sure a decent percentage of that 6 million players was from Game Pass, this game has also sold at least a few million copies, and it's performing extremely well today. It's not really slowing down very much. And also remember that Starfield launched on a Wednesday for some reason, so the fact that it hit 6 million players in the middle of a work week before a decent chunk of the game's audience even got their copy, that's impressive. And this video isn't just to go over Starfield's sales numbers, and rather I want to establish this background so we can get into the meat of things, which is that there is still a segment of the internet that insists Starfield was a complete and total flop, because they absolutely cannot handle the fact that Xbox has a decent exclusive on their hands. So the other day, this tweet from Okami Games started making the rounds, stating, quote, "The numbers for Starfield on Steam are pretty impressive considering it's a full-priced game that's also on Game Pass. For perspective, Halo Infinite multiplayer, free-to-play, majority of PC players were likely on Steam, 272,000 peak concurrent users. Starfield, full-priced with $100 upgrade, available on Game Pass for $10 a month. Most played Bethesda title at launch, 330,000 peak concurrent users." And yes, these are impressive numbers given the circumstances. Starfield is a full-priced game, a brand new IP, a single-player game, and it's available on both Xbox and PC Game Pass. The fact that the paid Steam version is doing this well is extremely impressive. But apparently we're not allowed to talk about that in 2023 on the internet because of reasons, and this tweet quickly started getting a ton of negative attention from the usual suspects who will never accept that Microsoft is capable of competing with the great and gracious Sony. BB28 responds, "Only you, Benji, and the Xbox community find that impressive, Okami. I mean, they're not bad numbers, but nowhere near impressive." Yeah, if Xbox guys are the only people who find those numbers impressive, everyone else needs a reality check. 330,000 concurrent players for a full-price single-player game on Steam is super impressive. And then it's even more impressive when you factor in the Game Pass aspect of things, that you could have just played this game on Game Pass. And yet, tons of people are still paying the full $70, minimum $70. And that's just on PC. Plus, if you look at the Steam charts again, this game has already been played for over 20 million hours already. 20 million hours, and it's only been out for like a week. Again, just the Steam version. Genuinely, what is it going to take for you guys to just accept that people like this game? 45 responds, "Not very impressive, TBH," with a screenshot of one of the biggest PC game launches ever. Like, yeah, nothing is impressive if you compare it to literally the most impressive thing. Which is why if your muscles aren't as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, you're actually a massive pussy. Like, obviously, that's how this works, right? If you're not the absolute best at all times, you're not even worth talking about, so just fucking kill yourself. Bah-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha, you sure that's the comparison you want to make? I mean, yeah? Like, Halo Infinite fell off hard, no doubt about that, but it had an amazing launch. The reason why Infinite's downfall was so disappointing was because of its amazing launch. The game had a ton of potential, and that potential was recognized by basically everyone during its initial multiplayer run, and it was free to play, so the fact that Starfield has taken the lead over that is super impressive, because it's a full-price $70 game that doesn't exist on shared servers. Like, is that not a big accomplishment? No? Like we can talk all the shit we want about how Infinite fell off and how 343 is incompetent, but there's no denying that the initial launch numbers of the multiplayer were incredibly solid. And that absolutely should be the bar that Xbox tries to clear with all of their future first-party games. Aaron Davis replies, "Not that I care about Starfield at all, but comparing it to the dumpster fire that was Halo Infinite is not a good look. This screams as a tweet that you wanted the game to do better and have to act like everything is going great." Is that how this tweet reads? 'Cause I don't see that at all. He's comparing the latest first-party Xbox game launch to the most successful Xbox game launch of the generation. I really don't see how there's anything weird about that. Is this not what every fan does of every new game or franchise that comes out? Like, you compare it to the bar set by the franchise or company that by their like, how is this weird? You can try to revise history all you want. Nothing's gonna change the fact that Halo Infinite had a really promising start, and the numbers reflecting that are not gonna go away. Halo Infinite is a lesson in how not to maintain a game. It is not a lesson in how not to launch one. I really don't get all the revisionist history around Halo Infinite, since Starfield came out, because Infinite had incredible numbers at the start. It had a lot of positivity surrounding it. The issues with Halo Infinite were how it was maintained and how it was supported, or I guess not supported. It was not with how it launched. Halo Infinite is a dead game 2 years in. Why even cite that as an example? Lol. God, can you people not fucking read? He's talking about peak numbers. It's right there. He's not talking about the game 2 years after launch. This is so fucking weird. You guys are trying to dismiss his tweet by writing it off as a bad comparison, but then your evidence for it being a bad comparison is an even worse comparison. Like, why does this game trigger you guys so much? I don't get it. Danny on PC says, and it has pretty poor performance, even on high-end systems. See, that's true. That's true. The performance is pretty underwhelming. I don't think it's nearly as bad as some people have been making it out to be. Like, I personally haven't been having that many issues with it, but it's certainly not where it should be. See, that's an actual criticism. Everyone take notes. Take notes. Danny on PC here made an actual criticism. Everyone write "good job, Danny" in the comments. Good job, Danny. I want to see that at least 9 times in the comments, or you're all banned. God, like, it will never stop being hilarious to me how desperate people are to write off Starfield. And the thing is, Danny was on the right track here. There's plenty of criticisms you can make of Starfield, just like how there's plenty of criticisms you can make of any game. But to just blindly dismiss or deny the objective positivity of things like player counts or copies sold is just bizarre. Like, it's one thing to say, hey, I don't think that game deserves those numbers because of XYZ reason. But it's another thing entirely to be like, nah man, those numbers aren't actually good because I said so. Or like, nah bro, you pointed out that it did better than Halo, and Halo is dead now, so Starfield is also dead now. Like, I don't understand the fear that these people have towards a fucking Bethesda RPG. It will never make sense to me. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to actually playing games now, okay? I gotta jump back into my Starfield run. I'm playing as JoeFromSeattle because I'm a fucking loser. Okay, toodles.